Well, it's Sunday school, and I am at least 10 minutes late this morning. I beg your pardon. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. It's a Sunday school during that limbo period between Christmas and New Year's. Constance and I are preparing for the final Monday night magic class in this series of classes on the Thoth Tarot. Don't know what we're going to do next. We'll probably take a few weeks off to gather our strength. Anyway, last night Constance and I accidentally ran across on television a documentary we saw a couple times already. It's a 2-hour documentary on Buddha. And we missed about the first 25 minutes of it this time. But it's on his life, and it is a combination of interviews with like the Dalai Lama and other Western Buddhists. There's a little of that kind of commentary, sort of like in a Ken Burns kind of thing. But there's also wonderful, wonderful music and animation. And it's very minimal and very Buddhisty. The whole thing is very Buddhisty. And it goes through his whole life, year by year, and through all the stages of his awakening, and then his ministry, if you want to call it that. And it was just so refreshing to revisit the mechanics of a human awakening, and the documentary just did it so well. If you can just Google it, I'm sure you'll find it. It's a 2-hour documentary. I think it's simply just called The Buddha, and it'll tear your heart out. And then after that, there was a documentary on sort of the last days of Tibet. The Dalai Lama, 1949 massacre of tragic, and all these Buddhist monks who survived. Some of them went to India, who accommodated them. God bless India for taking them in like that. But they tell of the horrors of what was just a barefaced spiritual genocide. Okay, I don't know what the ultimate motivation for that episode in history was, but it seemed especially cruel. And I'm not talking about the Lobsang Rampa books, okay, which he's pissed at the Chinese too, but he wasn't really a Tibetan guy. But anyway, the old monks now, and they are getting up there in age, that escaped, made it out, have in a way, they're heartbroken about what happened and how their life at that monastery was an example of, I call it spiritual technology of self-realization, triggering, encouraging, nurturing self-realization. And not only that, that do it with such great style, great clothes, but they show no ill will. They don't hate the Chinese. They don't hate the soldiers that massacred them. The attitude of I guess you'd call it divine detachment was just so striking. You could just, holiness just beamed out of all of them. And when you start to compare world religions, okay, you got Judaism and you've got Christianity, you've got Islam, and their various sects. Okay, those are religions. That's what you think of as religion. We believe in XYZ, and if you don't believe in XYZ, then you're not going to the same place we are. Okay, and maybe even you're a little less of a human being than we are because we believe in XYZ, and we're obedient to believing that, because it's the gamble that we're all going to have to take, isn't it? The attitude. Many years ago, somebody wrote me about religion in context of Freemasonry, which is like some people call it like a civic religion. It's a religion with a God, but the God is like the universal singularity, and it's very proto-thelemic. Okay, Freemasonry is, at least that's how I view it. Here's what the guy said. Thank you for allowing me to pester you with my question and observations. I'm a brother Mason. I'm still trying to figure out what the OTO is about. I think I'm starting to understand that Thelema is actually a religion, correct? The Book of the Law is a Thelemic Bible in a sense. Thelema is believing that, and he has God spelled G-D. Okay. Thelema is believing that God dwells in man, so that would make man God. And rather than answering to a higher power, you can be your own God by following your will. This would be the absence of a supreme being, unless you consider yourself a God. I, on the other hand, think that man, in a nutshell, is a dumb animal and cannot perceive the overall picture that is God. A God cannot drive a car. A man cannot see his place in the universe. I'm not so sure about Jesus, but he was a great teacher, to say the least. I always thought dying on a cross was a small price to pay when you think about the 19-year-old kids that died in Vietnam for nothing at all. And I would die on a cross to save every soul on the planet, wouldn't you? People have sacrificed themselves for far less a cause. If that's their self. Okay. But anyway, I still understand that without some form of organized religion, the world would be a bit chaotic. If some people followed their will, I would have been shot to death by now. I wonder if ignorance is a good excuse for me to get into heaven. That's really a great line. Uh, I wonder if ignorance is a good excuse for me to get into heaven, if there is one. Name withheld. Okay, that was a delightful, interesting letter, and I really appreciate when someone does take the time uh, to ask a question like that. Oh, by the way, uh, you can understand that each of these talks every morning get over 2,000 views, and I get many questions and responses and comments and reactions to what I say. And I do my best when they appear either on YouTube or on Facebook. I do my best to at least read them through. But I hope you understand that if you send page after page after page after page of page, if you send me your own essays on it, okay, and at the end said, "What do you think of that?" You know, I'm going to have to say, "I didn't read that." Okay, I didn't read it all. You know, I don't want to be rude. Uh, but I'm a lot of things. But I'm not a critic, and I don't want to discourage your your comments and stuff. But lately, I've been getting a lot of very lengthy, 1,000-word things that obviously had help from AI to generate, and which is pretty kind of easy to spot. Oh, I'm digressing here. Here's my letter back to this guy. Dear name withheld, you're welcome. Not that I want to sell books. Well, I do. But when I write them but I write them to explain things to myself, and in doing so, perhaps explain things to others as well. I tried specifically to answer your question, the question you asked about in the Magick of Aleister Crowley. But just off the top of my head, the first thing this morning, I would like to put it like this. God is supreme consciousness, the highest power, within which all of creation, including you and me, reside. Everything is an aspect and expression of the supreme consciousness. However, just because the subatomic particle and the ant and the tree and you and me are 100% God stuff, it doesn't mean that we have yet raised or realized our consciousness to the same level as that of the supreme consciousness. Until we have reached that level of self-awareness, we are most certainly answerable to the higher power. And I'm quoting him there. I put that in quotes. Answerable to the higher power of the supreme being and its laws. In other words, just the mechanics of the universe. In other words, you'll be answerable to the mechanics of the universe if you punch me in the nose and steal my lunch. The, quote, higher power is likely to reveal itself to you by allowing me to beat the crap out of you. I believe you might be missing the point entirely about what will is. Do what thou wilt does not mean do whatever you like because you're God. It means you've got a specific job to do as a component in the mind of God. You've mastered this universe because you've manifested in this universe. You're here because, okay? You've manifested in this universe because this job needs, for some reason, God only knows, it needs to be done on this plane. And it can be done by nobody but you. Finding out what that job is and doing it is our personal great work. By doing your great work, you're fulfilling the reason for your existence and bringing yourself into harmony and sync with the Supreme Consciousness, or God's will. Your comment on organized religion is well taken. Many people, perhaps most, unanchored by the quest to find their place in the universe, need to be rendered harmless to others, or at least others of their own class and heritage. Organized religions, with their laws and authorities, serve to frighten them and intimidate them into docility. Crowd control. This is most easily done by making people believe that they are inherently evil and need fixing, something that can only be done by one particular religion. Masonry, on the other hand, and I might just add Magick, okay, on the other hand, tells us that, quote, but Masonry in particular says this, quote, a fund of science and industry is implanted in man for the best, most salutary, most beneficent purposes. We're not evil inside. We just need our rough edges chipped away, our consciousness raised step by step, degree by degree. Many religions create people who are unchaotic by putting their minds in prison. Masonry is designed to produce individuals who are free, balanced, productive, creative, loving, and spiritual, because their minds have been liberated. I hope this has been helpful. Now, in my book, The Key to Solomon's Key, where I talk about Solomonic magic and the key to what makes Solomonic magic work, or the Solomonic formula work, this idea of it takes a certain kind of person to make that formula work. And that type of person needs to be a person who is liberated from the restrictive view of what that higher power is in relationship to what your potential is. And that's the Sunday school lesson for today. I'll see you tomorrow for the Order of Monday morning. Until then, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love's the law. Love under will.